I really think that, you know what I'm thinking? So it says here Prince Harry faces £1 million bail after he comprehensively lost his High Court battle with the Home Office for downgrading his police protection when he and Meghan quit royal life. hmm He and Meghan quit royal life. That's interesting because, first of all, this article by Sam Greenhill indicates that everybody's aware that Harry and Meghan quit royal life, but at the same time, it seems that Harry and Meghan are expected to conform to royal protocols when it comes to their new life in some instances. For example, this whole thing with, the disease that was acquired by a member of the royal family. I don't want to say this word anymore. It's like it's bad luck. But Meghan was expected to, you know, subordinate herself and sit in a corner and wait for permission to be told she can continue to live her life and do her work because someone who was her senior in the royal family, in the pecking order of the royal family, was ill. And so that therefore the royal protocol is that Meghan should genuflect curtsy and go sit under a rock. So in that sense, she hasn't quit royal life. She's still a part of royal life. But when it comes to their police protection, then the press is very quick to admit that Harry and Meghan have quit royal life. Although I don't even know if that's a fair characterization either way. I don't think they quit royal life as much as they stepped back from being senior royals. There's a difference to me in stepping back from being senior royals and quitting royal life. I mean, if you're a senior royal, you have certain job descriptions, you have certain protocols, you have certain things you have to do on a daily basis, places to go, patronages to support. And when you step back, you're kind of like a second tier royal or a third tier, but it doesn't mean that you've quit royal life. It seems to me that even as a non senior royal, you can still do certain things like go to the Easter service if you are allowed, or, attend banquets and different things like that, right? And, but anyway, that's not even the point. I digress, and I digress a lot because having perused this article, I thought to myself, they're saying that Harry will have to pay about £1 million when his own legal costs are taken into account. So he has to pay the government £500,000, and then he has to pay his lawyers, which to me is like, I mean, it's just like, well, I think the law in England is that when you bring a case, if you lose, the loser must pay the legal fees to the opposing party, which I think is outrageous. I think is absolutely outrageous. But that's not my problem. So it says here um, that he potentially faces a bill of around £1 million when his own legal costs are taken into account. And it says here a judge rejected a bid to half the amount he had to pay by saying the Duke of Sussex had comprehensively lost his case. Wow. This is the case for security, when he's in England with his family or even if he's alone to receive protection, as a member of the royal family. They have basically said that he comprehensively is not entitled to that protection. Separately, Sir Peter Lane also threw out the Duke's application to appeal against the ruling, describing one section of it as frankly hopeless. He sounds like a hater. So Peter Lane sounds like a hater, a Sussex hater. Could be wrong. He just sounds that way to me. Harry, who has previously vowed to appeal the case, can still approach the Court of Appeal directly if he wishes to pursue it. The twin rulings are another legal blow to the Duke after he lost his 2-year Home Office battle in February. So, what is this going to mean, actually? I mean, does this mean that Meghan and the kids go to UK with Harry and hope for the best? Does it mean that Charles will pay for their security out of his own pocket when they are in town? Does it mean that Meghan and the kids never set foot on UK soil again? What is this going to mean? Because I think that within a few weeks, like in 3 weeks or so, well, maybe more like, yeah, about 3 weeks, they are, the Invictus Games services are being held at St. Paul's in London. And I would really be stunned if Harry is not there. But will Meghan be there? Will the children, now that he has comprehensively lost this case? It remains to be seen how they deal with that. But I was really thinking that, you know what, it really should be King Charles who pays for Harry's legal bills. He should pay the £1 million because this is all his fault, right? This is all his fault because he had a lot of power in the beginning before this got to this point to exercise his, his will and his wand and his, chaff and his, his sword, whatever, and insist that his son be protected. Right? He could have insisted that his son be protected. It didn't have to get where it got because everything in England, whether it's wars or other laws that are written, everything requires the signature of the monarch, the royal assent of the monarch. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's what I've understood to be the norm. And so the king wields an extraordinary amount of power. And I think the fact that this got so far shows that he let his son, you know, it be set up, really. And he left his son to the elements, right? And he didn't care what happened to his son and his son's wife and family. And it was that attitude, in my opinion, that was the catalyst for the Home Office withdrawing security from Harry. I don't think the Home Office would have dared to do that if King Charles and Queen Camilla, and at the time, if the Queen was alive, her too, were adamantly opposed to his security being withdrawn. This is my position, and I'm sticking to it. And so it is my view that under the circumstances, it should be King Charles, despite his encancered state, who should step up and pay Harry's legal fees, because this is all his fault. I mean, not only is he the monarch, he's this man's father, for Christ's sake, and the grandfather of these little children who are now expected to be without security in a situation where so many people wish them harm. And King Charles should have enough love, certainly, but also enough, maturity and just, look, I mean, regard and just, I don't even know what the word is at this point, but he should have enough of it, right? To want to protect members of his own family. I mean, he can now see, now that he has cancer, that life is short. Life is real short. And no one is invincible. No one is indestructible, not even if they have a throne to sit on and a crown to hide themselves under. They are not indestructible, and they are not omnipotent either, right? And when they do things that are not right and not kosher, other forces will step in and take care of them. And that is why I think King Charles should pay Harry's legal fees, to show penance, to show that he is sorry for his role in what happened, or what almost happened, to the Sussexes. Thank God Meghan has her thinking caps on and was able to steer that ship out of England with her husband, and together they were able to pick up the pieces and start over again and actually come out on top, while everybody else left with all the security in the world, all the money, all the protection, all the praise, all the good press, everything imploded anyway. They imploded anyway. And they will continue to implode and to combust and to self destruct to the extent that they continue to do and wish harm on the Sussexes. But it doesn't have to be as bad as it's going to be if he steps up and says publicly, you know what, I am going to pay this for my son, because after all, I am king, and I feel like I failed him and his family, and now we are in this soup of a mess, or this mess of a soup, and I'm going to pay this, and it will be my last big act of generosity to my son before I croak. And I hope you will all forgive me that I made it get to this point in the first place. Because now my other son isn't even talking to me, and I have cancer, right? So, yeah, that's how I feel. That's my position, and I'm sticking to it.